Rio Hondo Prep football is one of the best kept secrets in all of Southern California. As one of the smallest enrollments year in and year out, the Cares have won 15 CIF championships and have been one of the most successful programs throughout their history. Welcome to A Charge to Keep, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep football. And now, bringing you the latest news and content from his alma mater, a CIF champion in 2001 from the class of 2003. Here's your host, Matt Hersema.
What is up, Rio Hondo Prep football fans? Welcome back to another episode of A Charge to Keep, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep football. It has been quite the summer thus far, having interviewed some of my former coaches, talking to some senior parents, having a great 4th of July episode with Major Bill Lee from the United States Marine Corps. We've done just about everything here, except talk about some current games, if you will, some games that have been going on, and that's going to be coming real soon. Hopefully in just about a month or so, we'll be playing football games for real, and we'll get you plenty of content there very soon regarding the current team with practices and do some reports from Care Field there and things like that. But for now, we're going to continue to talk about the current team, mostly the seniors, if you will, in today's episode. As you guys have heard the last few weeks, we've been talking to the senior families, the parents of our senior young men going into their final season of Rio Hondo Prep football and Rio Hondo Prep high school altogether. So it has been a joy for me to hear from these families and hear about their experiences, to hear about what Rio Hondo Prep has meant to them and their families. So we're going to continue to do that today with 3 more interviews from our various senior families. We'll probably hear from about some other seniors here next week, maybe from some coaches or something. We'll get to all that. But for now, we're going to be hearing from 3 more families today on the Charge to Keep podcast as we continue our Senior Sons segment, I guess you could say. We heard from 3 families 2 weeks ago. We heard from 2 families last week with the Curtis and Burl parents there. But today we're going to be hearing from 3 more families from the Rio Hondo Prep senior football players. Starting things off will be Yana Holcomb, who actually interviewed with me way across the world, if you will. You'll be hearing from her first off and hearing a conversation we had, thankfully by Zoom, and able to get it together as she was many time zones away, if you will. And so you'll hear from her there as we start things off, talking about her senior son, Caeden Holcomb, last year, the defensive player of the year in CIF for Division IX, and a guy that's coming back hungry as ever for his senior season. So we'll be hearing from her, talking about Caeden and his experience there. If you remember, last year was his first year at Rio, coming in as a junior. And so he definitely, hit things off with a big splash there. So Yana Holcomb will be talking about her son and her son's experience here at Rio. Batting second, if you will be Mike and Pauline Murphy, who were on the show last year. The homestay parents of some of our international students. They were representing last year Hanson Liu, who was a senior on the team. And this year they are going to be talking about another Rio Hondo Prep football player, Marco Chan, lives with them and has lived with them for quite some time. So you'll be hearing from them talking about Marco and what his experience has been like, and also giving, some of their memories of not just Marco's senior season, but very iconic figures too in the Rio Hondo Prep community. Both of them won championships at their respective times, playing in high school way back when. So fun interview there with the Murphys, once again talking about one of their sons, I would say, that is from another country, from far away, and they've done a fantastic job of housing international students, as well as many other care families out there who do a great job with that. So that'll be fun to hear from the Murphys once again this year. And finally, finishing things off for us will be Joel and Paula Tkach, the proud parents of senior Ivan Tkach, who's not only a heck of a football player on the offensive and defensive line for Rio, but is a big-time water polo player and has been for quite some time. So we'll hear from them and what it's been like as coming to Rio. He's had some sisters go through the program too, but you just coming into Rio, having never played football before, that was a big deal with Ivan coming to Rio and starting things off his sophomore year, doing a great job there. And man, he continues to grow every time I see him. Just a big dude, athletic dude, but someone that is incredibly friendly and just very well respected. And I think that has a lot to do with the parents there in the Tkach family. So all the families, it's such an honor to talk with you, to talk with the parents over and over about their sons and the Rio Hondo experience. And it's something I definitely want to do going forward in the summer as we prepare for their senior season, their sons anyway, going into the final dance, the last dance, if you will. So we will get right to all three interviews right now. They each go about 20, 25 minutes or so. That's what you guys are tuning in for today. And again, pretty soon here, we'll be turning the page to August. And August means football time, practices. We have a couple games in August, one of them anyway. And yeah, it's finally here. So kind of the last go around here with the seniors. We'll try to honor some of the other seniors as well if we get a chance to next week. It's all up in the air, but we'll hopefully make it happen, and looking forward to more of that. But I know you guys have enjoyed these interviews, hearing from the parents like I have, and so it's a privilege and an honor to get it out. And Coach Carson always says it's all about the families and the parents, and we couldn't do a lot of the things we do at Rio without the great parent support. So you're going to hear from three families today that Rio has had an impact on, and definitely has made a tremendous impact on their sons going into their senior season. So three very, different groups of people here. We got people from across the world. We got people that are the home state parents. We got just all kinds of different groups of people. And I love it. At Rio Hondo Prep, man, it's I don't know, melting pot, if you will. We got a lot of different backgrounds, and it's fantastic. I don't think any other school can say that about them. At least not with the percentages we have at Rio, right? With the student body and everything. So let's get to these interviews right away. I know you guys are excited to hear them, and we'll start things off with Yana Holcomb, who recorded with me, a week or so ago, and she was halfway around the world, maybe all the way around the world, if you really think about it. So it was a lot of fun chatting with her, but we'll get right to it. Yana Holcomb, Mike and Pauline Murphy, and then Joel and Paula Tkach to wrap up our episodes today. I think you guys will really enjoy these. They were a blast to record, and I'm looking forward to you guys hearing them today on the Charge to Keep podcast. Let's get things started with our Senior Son segment continued, part 3, if you will. We'll get it started with one of the proud moms on the Rio Hondo Prep football team, Yana Holcomb, as she talks about her son, Caeden Holcomb. Here we go. More from our senior parents on the Charge to Keep podcast.
Good times go by too fast. Yeah, I wish time would take a little slower. Sometimes it feels like a blink and then it's over. Better soak it in, better make it last. Live it up while we can, cause the good times go by too fast.
Okay, now joining me from all the way around the world is Yana Holcomb, the proud mother of Caeden Holcomb. She's joining me from Azerbaijan. I don't know if I messed that up or not, but let's say hello to her. Azerbaijan. Did I say it okay?
Yes, perfect, man.
Okay, awesome. Well, I got to ask you right off the bat, for those listening, what are you doing way over there? Just some vacation time or what?
Yes, I was born and raised here, so I had a chance since girls from Rio.
Okay, we had some technical difficulties there. We are broadcasting, around the world, so these things happen. But anyway, Mrs. Holcomb, Yana, if you could tell me again, you're coming to us from Azerbaijan, and yeah, you said you grew up there, but yeah, what you just taking a vacation out there?
Yes, my daughter, Caden's sister, is also going to Rio, and girls had a trip in Europe. High school girls this summer for 4 weeks. Their last stop was in Italy, so I used an opportunity to catch her in Italy and bring her to show where I grew up, which was about 4 hours flight from Rome. So I used the chance to take her with me and show her around some more.
That's really neat. And how was that meeting up with the Rio Hondo Prep girls there in Europe. I mean, pretty crazy, huh? That they were able to take however many 40, 50 girls there and travel the continent out there. That had to be fun meeting up with the trip at the end of it.
It's amazing. I'm so appreciative of how Rio puts together those trips for boys last year, for girls this year. It's the lifetime opportunity, and I was very happy to see the girls being happy on the trip and safe and excited, and um, teachers also not being too tired
Yeah.
from having 60 girls around. It was amazing experience to meet up with them in Italy a little bit earlier than to see my daughter too than I supposed to, but yeah, it was
We
great.
we had we had a good time in Europe when I got to go, in high school, and yeah, hopefully Caeden gets the experience too, and the boys next year. But it's a really good time. How we do it is crazy, but yeah, it's a great experience. One of the many wonderful things about Rio is getting
Hmm.
to travel and see different things. Azerbaijan,
Yeah.
you said it's on the Caspian Sea, so it's where exactly is it? Although I'm sure our listeners could check it out on a map, but yeah, where is the location?
It's on the Caspian Sea and its borders. Southern border is with Iran and Turkey. So Middle Eastern part of Russia.
Wow. Who would have thought Charge to Keep podcast would be coming recording from out there one day? So that is
Yeah,
really
nowadays.
really neat. And I know you guys were kind of in the Pasadena area before. I got to talk to Caeden last year, and he told me, I think he went to Loyola. But one thing I didn't know, that he went to Chandler Middle School, which was kind of a middle school rival of Rio Hondo Prep back in the day. I don't remember him talking about that.
Yeah, he went to Chandler from first grade all the way through almost eighth grade before COVID started. Yeah, then
Interesting.
Loyola.
Well, we're happy he transferred on over. Do you remember how you guys discovered Rio Hondo Prep? Because he didn't come up through the youth program. I think he transferred in as a junior. So what exactly was that went into that decision and that process?
Well, he actually started football at Care,
Oh, he
so
did.
from fourth grade. So he was basically Care introduced him to football, and football became passion of his life. And he is finishing up his and starting his bigger football career at Rio. So I'm sure it was meant to be, but
Yeah.
his older cousin went to Rio. He's a couple years older than Caeden. So we have some family members who went to Rio before, and Caeden's football from fourth grade. So he's when he transferred from Loyola, the boys in his class he already knew from fourth grade, and his team. It was very easy fit in, and we moved. So his sister already was at Rio for a year before Caeden transferred from Loyola, and it was not an easy decision for him, but he's extremely happy there, and I see him finding family at Rio, and it's very important because Loyola is a great school, but it's also a very large school compared to Rio. And brotherhood and family atmosphere at Rio makes huge difference compared to big schools like Loyola. So we're extremely happy that he followed his sister in the beginning, but found his real happiness at Rio.
Yes, we are incredibly happy he transferred as well. He's fit right in, and he was one of the best football players we had on the team last year. He was the All CIF Defensive Player of the Year. So
Thank you.
incredibly happy for him. And he is a guy, I think, Yana, that if he went somewhere else, he could probably be the star, right? He could be the number one guy and someone and get all the touchdowns and all the press clippings, but he seems like he's a guy that has enjoyed playing with friends and being a guy that will contribute. And, you know, he is, don't get me wrong, he is a star at Rio. He does a heck of a job, but I think he's fit in with just kind of a bunch of guys that don't really care who gets the credit. And I think he's really shined the last year.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Yeah, but the part of being a team is the probably most important part that also makes him successful like that and more passionate about what he does, because he's a team player, and adding that team feeling with his passion for football makes it just incredible experience. And when you do what you love with people you like and respect, it makes it much better.
Yes,
In every
there's no in every way, no matter what you're doing, but especially as a teenage young man, you know, getting to play the sport you love is big. And I know, I mean, he got a big senior year coming up. I know he has aspirations. He would like to play beyond Rio. He would like to pursue this perhaps in college, right?
Yes, his biggest dream is to get into college and play for D1 colleges and
Yeah.
become an NFL star. That's his biggest dream, and I hope he will do that someday. He's very passionate about what he does, and he works. He's not only passionate by sitting on a couch and watching football and being passionate about that. He puts a lot of work into that. Even he works out.
Oh,
He goes to private practices with coach for a couple hours every day. Then he drives to Glendale to do speed training 3 times a week. Then he works out every day for 3 hours, and he's a good student at school with very good grades at school. Coming home at 10, 11 after all his workouts and still keeping good grades at school. So he's putting a lot of work into his dreams, making his dream true.
Yeah, he's a big dude. I mean, he's filled out really well, and he's only going to get bigger, and it seems to be faster. Yeah, he works with Coach Golar in some private training sessions. So he puts the work in the weight room. And like you said, academically, if you're not taking care of your schoolwork, then none of the other stuff really matters. So I know as a mom, you got to be proud of that he is a good student and putting in.
He is actually also. I'm very proud of him in every way, of course, as a mom, but he is also my chess champion. He was traveling before he started football seriously. From 6 years old, he was traveling the world playing international and world champions, winning big places. So one of the top guys in California in chess with very high rating. So I'm very proud of that, but I also see how it helps him in his football career, and patience, determination, and logic that he's using in chess is very helpful during the games. And I see that I was a chess mom. Now I became a fan of football because of Caeden.
Yes.
And it's amazing for me and very unusual.
Well, yeah, football is not exactly, you know, international sport. It's very, you know, pretty much just American, and it's branched out a little bit, you know, with NFL Europe and things like that. But yeah, I'm sure having a young man who's dedicated and loves football so much was a learning curve. But it seems like, yeah, you went from chess mom to football mom. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But
I don't
what is
think I ever watched the football game before Caden started playing, but now I'm a big fan.
that is beautiful stuff. I
This
love it. These are the stories.
the
These are the
game.
stories I Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Now I actually enjoy watching games and understand that. And
Hmm.
before I didn't see um, much about that game. And thanks to Rio and to my son, that I actually fall in love with football now.
Oh,
And you said earlier about Caden working out a lot and becoming a lot bigger. He actually was only 150 pounds starting as a freshman. Now he's 220 and growing. So
oh,
that's a big difference, I think,
yeah.
too.
And one of the hardest things you have to do, you got to feed that kid. I mean, he's a growing boy, probably always hungry, like all of us teenagers were back in the day.
Yeah, he has his specific diet that I have to follow. Every time he comes home, he only eats protein. It has to be different dinner every night. He drinks his protein drinks. He has to eat 7 eggs in the morning, and it's challenging, but
Yeah,
I'm happy to do that.
that's fantastic. I think yeah, all the
It's
moms
true.
out there.
And
True.
even when I tell him, Caden, maybe you can just take 1 day break from workout, or you're sick, you should stay in bed. He will not do this. He would get mad at me and tell me, do not ever tell me that, to take a break.
Hey, that's a good attitude. I know it seems hard and weird, but no, you know what? God bless him for that. That's going to take him far in life, whether it's football or something else. That never quit attitude is something that
Yeah.
makes him special for sure. It-
So it makes me feel almost embarrassed to offer him a break.
You're just being a good mom. That's all. That's all good. If you could, Yana, talk to me about last year's season, specifically, the championship game. What to come from Loyola and then immediately have this great season at Rio that ended in a championship. What that meant to you, your family, Caeden, and just experiencing all of that last year.
Um, well, of course, it was amazing experience. And actually, Caden was doing very well in Loyola too his freshman year, and had a lot of hopes of starring. He was starring in Loyola, so um, and seeing the championship game at the end of the season um, made us feel even more that we made the right decision by coming to Rio. And coaches were amazing, team was amazing. Caden doesn't even want to come home. He just wants to be there. And after championship, winning a championship, um, he was literally like reborn
Mhm.
um, in his football love for football. And it was also amazing experience that I was on another trip with my daughter j- during the week of championship game, because we didn't know if they're gonna play that game or not, so we had to change last minute tickets with her and come back straight from the airport with all our suitcases straight to the straight to the game in Santa Monica. So I will never forget that too. It was challenging, but it was amazing.
That
uh,
yeah,
and
people came
to
from all
see all
over
the
for that.
parents and coaches and kids literally crying on that field, winning the game. One of the most amazing experiences I had with my kids since they were born.
Hmm.
Um, I think I did see a lot of big championships being that Caden won and being excited, but I think that football championship game, winning that was more emotional experience for me in
Yeah.
my life, the biggest one so far.
I think with Rio, it's incredible that the families come together, the kids come
Yes,
together. Like you said, they don't want to go home sometimes. They just want to hang out with each other or work out and do things. And yeah,
yes,
it's special when the team wins, when the kids win. I think all of us win, whether it's the families, the alumni, we all feel it. And they're the ones doing the hard work, but the parents do a lot of work behind the scenes too, with meals and giving kids rides and all that. So it's all kind of, we're all in it together, and that's what makes the victories even sweeter, is that you see the
yes.
smiles, the
And
tears.
coaches are just amazing at Rio. They're like second, third, fourth dads for those
Mhm.
boys. They are family to all of them, and I really, really appreciate the work they do with those boys, keeping them in faith and also um, making them real men
Yeah.
and gentlemen and strong men with faith. So I truly appreciate everything Rio and their coaches and teachers do for our boys, and very happy that Caeden is there.
He's getting the experience, and you're right about the coaches. They love the kids, but they're going to be very hard on them, and they push those guys, and you know what, and that's a good thing, pushing
Yes,
them. It's not always happy times. You got to be tough on them, but that's a good thing, and we've seen them develop, and kind of prepares them, I think, for the real world out there. And so
yes,
yeah, you
definitely.
can't say enough about the coaching staff. They've done a phenomenal job.
Okay.
If you could, we'll wrap it up here soon. Just the for the family being in Rio, and as someone, you guys didn't go through Rio for 4 years, but you came in his junior year, and of course his sister Kiana there. What Rio has been like, if other families out there are listening and thinking, man, I wonder if I should send my kids to Rio. What would you tell them, or kind of what would you say is kind of some of the best parts of Rio, and why it has worked so well for your family?
Um, I think it's a lot of best parts about Rio. It's hard to choose one or two. Um, the staff is amazing at school. Um, they keep kids safe, educated, and sports program is great. Coming from schools like Chandler and Loyola, my kids did not feel any difference and actually loved being at Rio. And it makes you feel as a family. I feel safe. I feel that my kids are secure, loved, understood by every teacher. Since a smaller school, every teacher knows every kid like their own, and caters to their personalities. And it's very important, I believe, to make them feel loved, secure, and taken care of, and
Mhm.
makes us as parents feel happy that and safe, when we know that our kids being very well taken care of in every way at Rio.
Perfect. Perfect. That is good stuff to hear. Yeah, it's a welcoming, a loving place, and a place that
Yes.
challenges people, and families buy in, and that's the important part. Is they couldn't do it without great parents out there. I know Caeden has a lot of family, not just in other states, but maybe it sounds like even around the world. So are they able to they tune in on the broadcast and the podcast and watch him and hear from him and things?
Yes, they do, from Russia, my friends from Europe, um, from he has family in Houston, Seattle. His grandparents try to come to a
Love
lot
it.
of games. Yes.
Love it. Well, that makes me happy.
I
That's a big,
broadcast with all my friends.
all the broadcast.
Actually.
Yeah. Oh, when he talked, yeah, on the when he came on. Well, he'll be back on again this year, and we'll get more international listening. That'll be cool. And of course they get to watch the games too with the great Clark and Kyle broadcasting. So again, there's reasons we do these things for the kids and the families that are, have family everywhere else. So very cool to hear it. Finally, Yana, if you could, this is your chance to say anything you'd like to your son who's about to be a senior. And I'm sure that's hard to believe. Time has flown by, but Caeden Holcomb going into his senior year, coming off an incredible championship and defensive player of the year. What would you like to say to your senior son as he goes into his final season at Rio Hondo Prep?
Well, Caeden, keep following your dreams. And I see how hard you're working, and hard work always pays back. When people work as hard and follow their passion and do things in life that they love, they always succeed in that. Just follow your dreams, and I will always be by your side. And always love you and support you.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Yana Holcomb, for coming on the show today, talking about your senior son, Caeden, joining us from, let me try it again, Azerbaijan, all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your vacation, you and Kiana, and we will see you back, in a month or so at some Rio football games. But yeah, until then, safe travels, and thanks again, Mrs. Holcomb.
Thank you, Matt.
Bye now. Well, thank you so much to Yana Holcomb for joining me on the podcast today. Many, many, many miles from home, from 5150 Farna Avenue. She's all the way around the world, or was anyway at the time. So great hearing from her and talking about Caeden and his experience. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, going and seeing the girls on the summer trip at the very end of that's good stuff. I love when families would come on the summer trip, whether it was Europe or wherever, just kind of stopping by the trip and seeing family members, whether it was immediate or extended family on the summer trips. Those were always a lot of fun. So thank you, Mrs. Holcomb, for a fun interview there. That was a lot of fun. And we'll keep things moving right along here as we go to our next senior family. This next group was on the show last year for a different young man. It was for Hanson Liu, the big, what did they call him? The praying mantis. They had all kinds of great nicknames for him. The tall defensive lineman he was last year. But today, right now, we're going to hear from Mike and Pauline Murphy. They are the homestay parents of Marco Chan, who's a senior now and has been with the program for quite some time. He's been a great offensive lineman, really, with this team since he was a sophomore. Stepped up in a big way. He did some kicking along the way as well. Just a guy that you wouldn't know is from somewhere else. He's from another country and has really adapted well to football and being on the field and contributing in many, many ways. So excited about his senior year. Personally, I think he's going to do some great things. And I think Mike and Pauline Murphy have plenty to say about him in this interview that will get you fired up about Marco and Rio Hondo Prep football in general. So a lot of good things ahead here, and we'll just keep things rolling here on the Charge to Keep podcast as we get to interview number 2 here of our senior parents. It is now my privilege to bring back on the show once again, Mike and Pauline Murphy, representing upcoming senior Marco Chan. All right, we are now joined by the homestay parents of Marco Chan, joined by Mr. Mike Murphy and Mrs. Pauline Murphy. They had the privilege to be on the show last year, honoring a senior in Hanson Liu, and wouldn't you know it, they get to do it again this year. Mr. and Mrs. Murphy, how's it going? Good afternoon.
Great.
Hi, doing good.
Now, Mrs. Murphy, you got to do this last year with Hanson, who I know you guys love dearly, and he moved on. You saw him graduate and everything. I mean, are you guys ready to do this every year with all the different international students that you guys house every year? Or, hey, it's a tall task being senior parents every year.
Yeah, love doing it, but I think this is unfortunately the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, we had a great time watching Hanson last year. Not just talking to the other team which you loved last year, but he made some big time plays on a championship team. And we got to talk about that season last year. Marco as well, who we're going to talk about today. But for both of those young men who live with you guys, to see them win a championship and that team from 2023, I mean, just tell me your thoughts initially on what an incredible season that was last year.
Well, I think last year's team was one of my favorites all time. You know, I've seen pretty much every team. I started watching, you know, RHP football when Ken Drain was playing. So
Wow.
I've seen pretty much every team. And, you know, you might know more about this, Matt, but I think it's the only team that every single playoff game was really tough. I think they had the toughest road of any team ever. Because even like my senior year, you know, we had the triple overtime championship game, but the other games we just blew out. The other playoff games we just blew out our opponents. So the last year's team was incredible. You know what they went through, how it was to get there. But I'm so excited about this year's team. This year's team is going to be really, really fun to watch.
Big expectations, and sometimes that can be a pitfall, but I think these guys are up for it. Pauline, your father was a lifelong offensive line coach at Rio Hondo Prep, and man, those offensive linemen last year really took it to bigger guys. And Mr. Murphy mentioned there that the playoff games and everything just every I always think the moms are the most nervous out there. I mean, could you speak to that, and just kind of watching the sons out there and just like the nervousness that goes through your body kind of those big playoff wins?
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't get nervous like other
She's
women.
a gamer.
Gamer.
The more pressure, the better.
She's
I
a
always
Hampton.
wanted
Yeah.
to go out there and put on some equipment and just give it a try, even though I'm
Yeah.
so small. So, but yeah, I would say the O-line is the reason, one of the big reasons why we won last year, because they really did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think the offensive line was the
Yeah.
reason. But you know, Matt, after that first playoff game, remember the very first playoff game?
Yep.
And we were the number 1 seed. And so that made them what, the 16 seed or something?
Yeah.
I said, man, if that's the 16 seed, we're in trouble.
Yes.
The first round's not supposed to be that hard if you're the number
No.
1 seed. But every game was a battle. And I just love that.
Oh, I think your point is very valid in the sense of the history of Rio Hondo, some amazing teams, some great upsets. But when you talk about 4 consecutive, very tough opponents, 3 of those opponents being very large public schools with 3,000 plus kids in them. I mean, just think of that. And no disrespect to St. Margaret's, they were a very tough 16 seed, but Orange High School, Vista Del Lago High School, Santa Monica High School. These are huge names and brands that, I mean, in reality, Rio Hondo had no business competing against, yet we took them all down. It was like 3 straight Goliaths there. That was awesome.
It was amazing. And you know, the other thing, partially because of your podcast, because I know people follow, you know, alumni, and then, you know, the games you can see on TV or whatever. I just know so many alumni from like every generation of Rio Hondo Prep football was so invested in last year's team. And I think that's going to carry over this year too. But I had so many people, you know, from my team alone at the championship game. I don't know how many of us were there, 8 or 10 of us or something. And you know, we played almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that team really galvanized the generations of Rio Hondo Prep football. And I think this year's team will do the same.
I agree. I think they're up for the challenge, and this wasn't just a one-time fling, really getting everyone into it. It's like, no, we're going to keep this thing going, keep growing. You know, it started with this kind of thought in my head in the summer last year of, hey, it's been 50 years since Rio's first championship. And wouldn't it be special if we made this run and everything? You were obviously on the 77 team. That 73 game, you know, and then to see those guys at the very end of the regular season come out and celebrate them, I don't know. I think that added some fuel to the machine we had going last playoff run.
It was amazing.
Yeah, seeing all those guys, that was special. That was some real energy. Anyway, your resident son, I guess we'll say, last year, Hanson Lou, graduated, all smiles and this and that. So that was great. But Pauline, talk to me a little bit about Marco Chan, who is now with you guys. How long has he been with you guys? And yeah, I mean, what's he like? We've seen him on the football field. Just talk to me a little bit about your experience with Marco over the years.
So he came to us when he was in 7th grade, and we were living in Arcadia at the time. And he became really good friends with me. And he would get like Nate and Josh and Colby and Landry all going down there and just like, hey, let's get together and let's practice. And he was really like the ringleader getting everybody down there. And so that was really fun to see that, you know, just him like getting people down there. So that was kind of cool. And then when we moved to Upland, he ended up staying in Arcadia. But last year he came and is taking the drive all the way out to Upland every day now. So anyway, so yeah.
Now, Marco has been different than every other international student we've had because he came knowing a lot of English. His was a seamless fit right away. He went to international school in China, and so I think they taught in English. So he really adapted way easier and way quicker. You know, he got in with the guys. It wasn't like a big culture shock for him. And I remember his very first football game watching him because, you know, Matt, like you and I, we grew up watching football.
Yeah.
We grew up watching Rio Hondo Prep football and dreaming when we would be out there on that field when it would be our turn. And our international students don't have that to draw from, you know, so it's a different experience from them. But I remember his very first game watching him. He played offensive line. I think it was against Arrowhead Christian Academy. And I just, you know, would like video him with my phone and watch him. I said, wow, you know, football is such a culture shock more than any other sport to our international students. But he was keeping his man out every time from the very beginning. From his very first football game in 7th grade, he's been a really good offensive lineman where if you watch him when he's in there, his guy's not getting in and getting the tackle. And then, of course, he's always been a really good kicker because I think he played soccer at a decent level in China. And so he's always been a really good kicker. But he's got a lot of potential.
I always watch these guys, my first impressions of them when I see them for the first time. And I remember seeing Marco Chan and being like, okay, this guy, I don't think he grew up playing football, but he seems to fit in almost like he has. And I know he played in middle school there, which is a big step up from just jumping into it in high school. But he seemed like a guy who had played for a few years. He understood the concept. And his sophomore year specifically, when I really started following the team, he was a guy, an undersized lineman at the varsity level, like a lot of those guys, but undersized, but really did a good job of getting his nose in there. And like you're saying, you know, preventing guys from getting to the ball carrier. And he has a little tenacity to him. He seems to be like a thinker, but man, he's not afraid to stick his nose in the middle of stuff. And
then, you know, go back to his very first game. Really good blocker from the very beginning. And when they put him on the defensive line, he was still blocking the offensive line. didn't catch on the difference between offense and defense. But his blocker wasn't going anywhere.
No problem. Learning curve for sure.
Protecting the linebacker from the lineman.
That's right. That's right. Hey, we teamwork out there. And then you mentioned his kicking. We had a great kicker, Alex Mustaine, last year that is now graduated.
Yeah.
But you know, Marco had a lot of good kicks. You know, filling in as a sophomore, and we'll see. I think he'll probably get the bulk of the reps this year, and we'll see in camp and everything. But he's pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I hope so. And he's really good at just extra points. You know, I don't know how far he can kick a field goal, but he's really consistent on the extra points.
Mm-hmm. No, there's no doubt about it. It's typical Rio Hondo Prep, offensive lineman and kicker, right? And those are two things that are always, that's just perfect. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's real, guys. You do it all. I know that he was on that summer trip last year. I don't know if he's a guy that talks about all the great things he had. Did he express kind of the experiences from the summer trip last year?
I don't remember experiences. He's not really that way. That's not his personality. You remember any stories?
He won't necessarily tell you the stories. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeps it to himself. I like that. Hey, what happened? Yeah. Okay. So, hey, some stories, you know, just for the boys anyway. So that's good stuff. What is it else you guys have seen? You guys have housed a lot of the international students, specifically, some recent football players. You talked about the culture shock. Is it odd? Well, not odd. Like, what's it like seeing these young men go through the Rio program who are thousands of miles from home? And I don't know if their parents get to come see them often, or if they get to go back home or what. But I mean, what's it like? What would you say are the differences really between besides the obvious, between international students at Rio and maybe those other students who, are from here or went through the CARE program?
Well, I'm going to change gears a little bit to tell you
Sure.
the culture shock. Because we live in Upland, we've also hosted Western Christian students.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, one of our first Western Christian student, he went with us to a Rio Hondo game, and he was really inspired to a football game. And so he decided he wanted to play football, and Pauline kept encouraging him to, yeah, you should play football. And I kept telling Pauline, you don't have any idea what that's like out there. He lasted one practice. You don't know. I said, he's going to be so sore after his first practice. He lasted one practice, and that was.
He said, no way.
That was it. But, our guys have really they've really loved volleyball and basketball. And, soccer too, I think.
Yeah.
And those are more international sports, something that they would have seen. Football is really foreign. It's just as foreign as anything. There's nothing more American than football. And so that's the hard one for them to understand and, become a part of. And I think also the whole concept of team. The concept of it's not about you.
Yeah.
You're part of something bigger than yourself is a difficult concept for people who didn't grow up in a team environment. To sacrifice for the team is a little bit of a foreign concept.
No doubt. That's why.
As far as like the parents go, so I remember last year, like Hanson's parents going to a couple of games, and just the excitement of just like, whoa, I can't believe my boy's out there. And then I remember Hanson's dad putting on the football helmet, because he just wanted to try it on. And then one time Marco's mom went to the game, and she doesn't speak any English, but she was following the game and would get excited at the right time and just loved it so much just to watch Marco play, and just the excitement in her face was just was fun to watch.
But I think high school sports again is just an American thing. People in other countries, high school sports isn't really a thing. But then you add to that just the electricity of Friday night football. There's just nothing else like high school Friday night football under the lights. And so, the parents get really excited when they have the opportunity to watch their kids be a part of American culture like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And I don't know if there's a way to figure this out or add this up, but I would argue if you really think about it, Rio Hondo Prep has probably put more, how do I say this? International students, guys born outside the US on a football field than I would say any other. I can't think of other schools that do it as consistently. Cause every year, say on the varsity, we got, I don't know, 5 guys, half a dozen guys who are from other countries on the varsity football team. And I think that is, again, something very unique. And I'm amazed at how many of those students come over having never played football and not just suit up, but contribute and do see it through. They last a lot longer than one practice. You know what I mean?
We were just in Vietnam. We got to let the dog out.
Oh, sure.
Let the dog out. We were in Vietnam this last summer, and we were visiting former RHP international students from Vietnam who stayed with the Oric Hamptons. And I don't know, one of them or both of them.
I think both of them.
I remember them just saying, what were they thinking putting me out on a football field? And how much they appreciate that, how much that's still such an important part of their life. Like they couldn't believe when they came that they were put out on a football field And it's still like one of the highlights of that. They will tell you that it has made them, that Rio Hondo Prep has made them who they are today, and they are incredibly successful in Vietnam. But they really talk about how much it meant to be on the teams and be a part of Rio Hondo Prep and the teams, and football especially, because that was the hardest.
Yeah, and then Brian actually, like Marco, ended up being the kicker for his team. So, yeah, so anyway.
Yeah. Was that, you said Brian Trong?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He was a couple years ahead of me, I think, but I remember Brian Trong. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've always, hey, we got to keep, that student body is small enough at Rio. We got to grab students from all over the world just to, get our numbers up a little. It'll never be 3,000 like Santa Monica or whatever, but yeah, it's, the diversity of Rio Hondo Prep is amazing. Yeah, just all the different people and backgrounds and stuff. And it's, again, why it continues to be a special place. I think I asked you already, but kind of just a little bit, Marco seems like a guy that just enjoys being around his friends. And I've talked to a lot of parents, just being with each other, the boys just, they could be doing anything, going to the beach, just practicing, or they just seem to like being around each other. And he seems like, again, he's a guy that's fit right in. And for the upcoming senior class, I mean, it seems like a real special group that's going to lead us into this season.
Yeah, he became a part of the group right away when he came in 7th grade. And it's good that he was able to come that young and, become a part of things. But yeah, it's been a really good group for him.
Mr. Murphy, you mentioned, I think you asked me at the championship game, as a matter of fact. I had interviewed Coach Golar, who did a lot of special training with our boys.
Yeah,
and
his
still
brother
does.
played on my care youth league team growing up.
When
His
you were
brother was
playing,
good.
when you were playing, he was your teammate, your Mr.
Superior,
Golar, Coach
Superior Spartans, yeah. So
Your teammate,
Coach
wow.
Golar's older brother, Larry, and he was a baller.
Wow.
He ran track in high school, was really good, and he played for Monrovia High, played football, and ended up playing, I believe, at San Diego State.
Wow. So small world, and Coach Golar still working with our guys. I remember you said, is that the brother of Steve? I said, I'm assuming the Golar name, it's pretty unique. So yeah, I love that. It's a small world.
I don't know if you ever crossed paths with him, Matt, because he was an official. I know he was a basketball official. He did a Rio game once, talked to him.
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah.
Steven, the brother?
No, Larry.
Oh, Larry, excuse me.
The brother, Larry,
okay.
yeah.
The name really does sound familiar. So we may have crossed paths a time or two and not really even known about it. But no, just wanted to mention that because yeah, you were right. So many alumni that just came out to that game last year, and it was just man, it was special. And just to see those guys pull it out was phenomenal. As far as let me see here. Oh, okay. As far as Marco, and Marco's from where again?
He's from China.
China. Okay. As was Hansen as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And Marco grew up in the Shanghai area, and Hansen grew up in the Beijing area.
Okay. Got you. And as far as, I mean, what else as far as like academics or maybe musical? Is he in the band? Does he do, what other interests does he have outside of football and hanging out with his friends?
He actually really enjoys cooking. So
good. Yeah, he's good.
He's a really good cook. Now, one of the most difficult parts of coming to America is the food. And so they miss the food, just like when I travel, I miss our food. And so he's really learned how to make the kind of food that he loves. So, but he takes it very seriously. So, yeah.
I like it. Chef Chan, that has a ring to it. I think maybe in the future here, we'll see what happens. That's really neat. I could see him in there, wheeling and dealing in the kitchen. That's awesome. You guys are both excited about this season as I am, and it's tough to see. It's great to see these guys grow up, but it's tough to see them go. And we are in July. We know the senior year is gonna, fly by, especially the football season. So, if you could. What would you like to say to Marco in closing here? Just as far as, wishing him well, what you'd like to see from him in his senior season, to each of you, whoever wants to go first, but just what would you say to Marco as he prepares for his final season at Rio Hondo Prep?
Well, as we've discussed earlier, it's just a totally different experience for them. They didn't come in like we did growing up with it. And so they don't have the same perspective we do. but I would just like to encourage him, just give it everything you've got. Just work as hard as you can, because again, later on in life, he's going to look back at this, but whether he realizes it or not, it's just really one of the high points of his life and something that's going to, make him the man that he is. So I just hope he'll just give it everything he has, work hard.
Yeah, and that's basically what I was going to say, the same thing. Just put everything you have into it and just embrace this last year and
then really enjoy it,
yes.
Because when you're going through it, it's a lot of hard work. But as you know, Matt, I mean, here's the thing that I think that lasts well beyond, this lasted almost 50 years for us, is the bond you have with your teammates. I think we're closer now than we were back then. Back then you have your little cliques and your little, but now we're just really, we had a reunion last year and I tried to, stay in contact with just about everyone on the team. And it's just that bond you have on your teammates, it just grows stronger and stronger. And you just don't understand now, how important that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, even if you haven't seen your buddies in a while, you feel like you're right there with them as they move on in life, and so do you. So we might have to rename the Murphy. I just realized this. You're both CIF champions. Marco's a CIF champion. You have to rename that Upland House years the House of Champions or the Hall of Champions or something. I think hopefully there's one more championship.
Pauline wanted to tell you a story about that.
Oh,
Okay, so Mike was on the first CIF championship as eight man. And then I was on the first girls championship in Rio Hondo Prep history. And then,
here comes the big one, man. Get ready for this one.
And then we got engaged on the first 11-man championship.
Right before the first 11-man championship game that,
05.
What was that, 05?
Yeah,
we got engaged
my brother's team,
right before the game, yeah. And then Hanson and Marco were on the first Division IX championship game.
Yeah.
So how's that?
I love it. Great trivia
and
stuff
I understand the pressure of winning like as a sophomore. And then you have that pressure of having, in your junior and senior year, like everybody has these high expectations. So I understand the pressure that they're going to have coming into this season as well. So.
Yeah. It's you hope there's no letdown. I don't think there is, because it is Rio Hondo Prep, and you kind of want the next one. You want that next banner. You want just to have a productive season and be successful, however it ends. So
Matt, high expectations I don't think are a bad thing, because I think any player out there is putting more pressure on themselves. They have more expectations than there are from the outside. I think the expectations within are higher than anything that's coming from the outside. So and when you go out there, you always expect to win.
Yes,
when you go out there and you expect
who
to
it's
win a
against.
championship.
This is the standard, right?
That's Rio Hondo Prep football. That's what you put on yourself, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a pride and a privilege to really put on that Rio uniform and to have the high standards. Yeah, and as you've said countless times, Mr. Murphy, the kids, I think they do now feel that they're not just playing for their teammates, their families, the coaches. I mean, they are representing so much more, so many of us, decades, generations of us that pull for these kids because they wore the same jerseys and helmets that we once did.
Yeah, they have no idea that when they're out there, we're all out there with them. As a matter of fact, we might be feeling it a little bit more.
Yes.
Like I said, I just remember we had like 8 or 10 guys from my team, and we were just, watching that game, from that far end zone, because there's where the catch happened. The catch.
Yes.
The catch. Yeah.
The stain of Tafflinger.
I have something I want you to do sometime on your podcast.
Okay.
Sometime I want you to feature the RHP teams that laid the foundation for the other teams. They didn't win it, but the next year's team really won it because of them. You talk about 73, how really the 72 team, really laid that foundation. Same thing with 77. It was the 76 team that laid that foundation. They took it all the way to the edge, all the way to the 1 yard line. And then we just took it across the goal line. I would like to, I think those teams deserve more
I agree.
recognition for what they did. And, and sometimes they were even better teams than teams that won,
There's
They
an
just happened to
argument.
be against a really good opponent.
No doubt. The 04 team comes to mind, one of the greatest teams in real history that,
Yes.
11 man went all the way up to Anza.
And then we won in
unfortunately,
05.
and then we win the next year. So it's amazing how often it happens where you get on the doorstep and you think, oh man, that was the best chance we had. And then, you do it again real soon. So very, very good points there. It's always a privilege talking to you, RHP historians, the Murphys here, for the great careers you had. But you guys are people that really, you get what I'm doing here. You get RHP sports, RHP football, and just how special and important it is. So I know that I'll always get a good message out of you guys and how big of a deal Rio Hondo Prep football truly is.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure talking to you about RHP football. Keep up the good work. Everybody really appreciates it and looks forward to it.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited, and good luck to Marco. He's in good hands with you guys, but it sounds like he's all grown up and living a good life and embracing everything Rio Hondo Prep related.
So when's the first game? What's the date of the first game? How far away are we? Yeah, I know you have your calendar at home where you're counting down the days.
August 24th, Saturday at home against Francis Parker. It's a Saturday night game. So here we go.
All right.
Looking
Right
forward
around
to
the
it.
corner.
We'll see you there.
Oh, can't wait, man. I know we're around 50 days or something like that. So let's get this thing going. For Mike Murphy and Pauline Murphy, thanks again. We'll see you really soon.
All right. Thanks for having us, Matt.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Always appreciate the Murphys and their time, Pauline and Mike Murphy, talking RHP sports, whether it's girls basketball or football, just the great history of it all. And of course, chatting about Marco Chan, their second senior son in consecutive years there. Marco going to have a great season. He wears number 54, or he has the past few years, and just a great contributor to this team. So looking forward to more great things from him coming in the future. And to the Murphys, yeah, they'll be out there watching Rio football like they always do, whether they have a senior son out there or not. They are a great, passionate fans, if you will, about Rio Hondo Prep. And man, is there anywhere else you'd rather be than on a Friday night watching Rio Hondo Prep football? I can't think of anything better, but yeah, pretty soon we will be able to do that again. And just can't wait to get to it, man. I say it every episode, and just very, very, very excited to keep it going. So we'll keep it going here. We got one final interview on the podcast today. We're going to be joined by Joel and Paula Tkach, the proud parents of Ivan Tkach, Aquaman, as they call him, Mr. Water Polo. And you know what? There's a few other things he enjoys by the water that I talked with his parents about. A fun interview here that, again, you guys will enjoy learning about Ivan Tkach, who was a captain on last year's championship team, a junior captain at that. So that tells you a lot about his character and the type of young man that he is. A guy that is, maybe his stats aren't big because he's a lineman, right? Both ways, offensive, defensive line, but one of our bigger dudes, and a guy that is just, man, he's just built. He's probably stronger than an ox, really, and just a guy that I'm glad is on our side, if you know what I mean. He's a guy we need, definitely. And it's hard to believe that Ivan Tkach did not play much football, any football really, until his sophomore year coming to Rio Hondo Prep. So a fun story indeed, and just one of the many examples of young men on this football team and at Rio Hondo Prep that unique stories, unique backgrounds. It's just amazing. I love doing this and getting to chat with you guys and share all the different stories here with related to Rio Hondo Prep football. So let's get to our final interview of the episode as we kind of wrap up the senior interviews here with all the senior families. And just again, it's been a blessing to me to hear from the families and to get their reactions to everything that's been going on the past few years with their sons. Here we go. Our final episode of the final interview, I should say, of the episode. The Tkach family, the representing Ivan Tkach, who I'm pretty confident will probably be a captain again here in his senior season, but just a tremendous young man, a truly good guy, someone that I think represents Rio Hondo Prep extremely well at whatever he does. So let's now hear from his parents, Joel Tkach and Paula Tkach. All right, we are now joined by another senior family, the proud parents of upcoming senior Ivan Tkach. He wore number 57, I believe, on the football field last year on the championship football team, an O lineman, a D lineman, a water polo player, an actor in the school play. I mean, we got a lot to get to here with the Tkaches, but it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Joel Tkach and Mrs. Paula Tkach. How's it going, guys?
Good afternoon.
Great. Thank you for having us, Matt.
Oh, it's a privilege. It's an honor to sit down with the senior parents. And, you know, we watch these kids play all year round and the training they do and all this and that, but then we get the inside information. We get to go to the parents and say, what are these kids really like? Are they well behaved? Are they, you know, all the good stuff. Let's talk right off the bat here, guys, about last season. I mean, we have a brand new season, 2024 here, but your son had never played football before his sophomore year, and his junior year, he wins a CIF championship. Mr. Tkach, what did that mean to you and your family? What memories do you have of that year last year, that incredible journey we went on last season?
Yeah, that was it was phenomenal, almost storybook. I mean, it was just David and Goliath. It was just unbelievable. We never could have thought that would happen for him, but so excited that he was stretched, went into, you know, a sport that he had never played and didn't know much about, but embraced it and put in the work with the team and just supported the team. And then the next year, to be able to go through that and to help win it for his friends, right? His senior friends that were in the trenches with him. That was great.
And Mrs. Tkach, kind of the same question there. Just, I mean, I think we were all kind of just in awe of what happened last season. And just, you're right. It seemed like a storybook ending, but I mean, if you could, what were your thoughts as a proud mom last season, watching your son win a title?
Well, being Friday Night Lights is fairly new to our family, and right, being a football mom. And I just remember after we won the season and we went into the playoffs, that a group of moms, we had to stop talking about like what would the final party look like. We just had to put it in a box, and then we had said we cannot talk about it until we win the game out in Moreno Valley, right? Like, so we committed, because we all got excited, and you know, at the first playoff game and at halftime we're planning about what a party would look like, and then we all just said, okay, we can't do this. And so we committed to not talking about that until we were sitting out on the in Moreno Valley and went, okay, now we get to plan it.
Let's do it.
It was unbelievable. It was so stressful as a mom. Like, I have never experienced anything like that. So, but just so rewarding. And I just have so much respect for the Rio coaches. So.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And Ivan was a huge part of that. You know, just anchoring the offensive line there and defensive line, just a stud, man. He every time I see him, he's bigger and stronger. And you know, you forget that, okay, he hadn't played much football before. Sophomore year, I thought Joel, he really played well. I know Ryan McCullough was nothing but complimentary and fired up. That guys like Ivan were stepping on the field alongside all those freshmen too, his sophomore year. But what was it like for him? You come to Rio, hey, you're playing football. He hadn't played ever before. I mean, what was that like for you and your family? Just kind of being like, hey, all right, I'm a football player now.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting and it's a little bit scary. I mean, the excitement of being part of a team, a band of brothers, that's exciting and fun to watch from a distance. A little bit scary in that, not sure how it's going to work out really for him. You know, is he gonna know all the plays? I mean, some of his friends have been playing since they're little guys, right, and all through the league, care league, and you know, is he gonna grasp all those plays and whatnot, and how's he gonna respond? But then also, like, from injuries, from my standpoint, I'm a little more concerned of, you know, I know he's an athlete and he can he's an athlete and he can adapt and learn new things, but you know, injuries will set you back. So that was it was exciting and scary altogether.
Yeah.
But I think what won us over was that he, after freshman year, being you know, the manager and then playing I think he played basketball his freshman year and then
Oh,
played
yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
But really, ultimately, he had this brotherhood and he wanted to be part of the brotherhood on the football team. And that's what I think what changed our hearts.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And
then
Coach Carson.
the trip,
Oh, the trip.
built the
Oh, yeah.
brotherhood, right?
We'll get to that for sure. But you know, Coach Carson has a way about him. He sees the potential in everyone, all his guys, and of course, when a guy like Ivan starts to grow a little bit, it's like, hey, you know what? I know you used to combat in the water. Let's get you on a football field, man. We've got pads and everything. So, Paul, if you would, I know he's a big time water polo player, Aquaman, I think they call him here and there. How long has he played water polo? How did he get involved in that? Because that's not a sport that really many kids participate in.
I'll let you can share that.
Yeah, I played in high school, and so I
Oh.
knew it was a fun sport. But I think when he's around 10, up to that point, he had played AYSO soccer all along, and kind of thought he was going to kind of play soccer as his primary sport. But we thought, you know what, let's just get him in the pool to give him some kind of other conditioning and expose him to another sport in the off season. And so there was like some splash ball classes and things at the Rose Bowl, and we just kind of took him down there, and they played around. Literally the first year he was in it, they were just, you know, kind of introducing what water polo was. It wasn't competitive really. It was just more of introductory. And it just kind of stuck in his head. And I think he just gravitated toward it. He liked it. And it's been him all along, just driving to focus on that. And through COVID, you know, soccer stopped and he didn't kind of go back to that on a competitive basis outside of school, but he kept pursuing water polo and all through COVID and whatnot. And yeah, he really is excited about it and driven towards it.
And he's still playing water polo. And I know you were telling me this is something he wants to continue to pursue, perhaps in college.
Yes. So it's the club season right now culminates next weekend in Junior Olympics. So his club team at the Rose Bowl made it to Junior Olympics. So he's had morning practice at the Rose Bowl, then, you know, he's at Rio in the afternoon, and then he has evening practice. So he's doing 3 practices a day for the last month. So I think he's in pretty good shape. So hopefully his team will do really well for JOs. Yeah, he's really excited.
That's really cool. And you know, we went and watched Noah Peninari fight a couple weeks ago, and that was a lot of fun. Is Ivan compete anywhere locally in Pasadena or anything anybody can go watch him at?
He has in seasons past. I mean, this current season will end in San Jose with JOs, you know, next week. But in the past, I know Coach Johnson and Landry and a couple other boys came down when he was playing at California High, and they watched one of his games. You know, maybe it was 2 years ago.
It was so fun that all these big football players came and they couldn't believe what was going on under the water.
Yeah, no,
very fun.
it was great for them to see, and it was to learn a bit more about him, and just the fact that they came out was
so meaningful.
Was
Super meaningful. That's what it's all about is the brotherhood and guys supporting each other. It's real. There's nothing fake about it. I think other people, other schools, maybe it can be, but nah, Rio, it's one big family, and a big reason we're having the senior parents on here. You said Ivan didn't come to Rio maybe freshman year. Where was he at before? Because you guys didn't go through the Care Youth League program. So how did you guys discover Care Youth League Rio Hondo Prep?
Well, we homeschooled, and then for junior high, 6th, 7th, and 8th, he was at Bethany Christian, a small school in Sierra Madre. And then we were looking for a
high school
for him and my older daughter. And then
and we were looking at a number of different places. And I knew Mike Lang from a men's group that I was in, and just kind of chatting with him. He said, "Hey, have you ever heard about Rio? My sons go there or went there," and he just kind of talked about it and said, "Hey, it's worth checking out." So
that's how we
made a phone call and took a tour, and we're like, "Wow, never knew anything about this place. Never heard of it."
What was that tour like? I've heard some great experiences from other parents who kind of went there and heard from Coach Carson, and just kind of like, wow, the kids do all this stuff in this tiny little school. What was it like? What spoke to you guys, I guess?
Well, it was COVID, so there was no one there when we toured, and it was Coach Carson, and he just kind of shared that, you know, their mission is to, you know, reach the kids through sports and keep them busy and school ends at 5 o'clock after all the sports. And we thought it sounded like a good idea.
And I think we focused on the kids learning character, service, character, teamwork. Those three things I think they really struck a chord with us, because
Yeah.
I mean that was how we brought them up.
Mhm.
And it was just kind of reinforcing what we had already been teaching them, and for them to get that in high school from a different community, that different perspective, it will just continue to reinforce it in their lives. So
Seemed like a really natural
Yeah.
step from Bethany Christian. So we were really excited about it.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the different perspectives, versus people who are born into it and kind of carry youth league, and then people who come over, they transfer, and it's just like, wow, I didn't know this place existed. I haven't heard a negative experience from anybody. So it's really, and the curriculum, I mean, Ivan, okay, he's a water polo player, but hey, man, you're going to play football events. You're going to play these other sports. You're going to be challenged academically. And then you were telling me before we started here that he was not only in the school play this year, he was like one of the lead actors. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think that all had to do with Coach JT
challenging.
challenging and asking Ivan to do that. So that was certainly, Ivan has never done anything like that before. So both his sisters highly encouraged him to do that, to try out. And once he tried out and he got the part, the Prince Eric, he didn't talk about it at home at all. I mean, I know he was practicing his lines. I know it was challenging. It was hard. He's never sang before, but he did not open up about it. And all he said is, Mom, you just got to come on the first night. And so I came, actually, Joel was out of town, and I came the first night of the performance, and I just sat in the back and cried because he did such a great job. So, and I feel like that just spills out into a lot of things that Ivan does. He has very high standards, and he works really hard. Things don't always come easy for him. But he wants to do really well. And so that applies to schoolwork, just his friendships and the play. So
yeah,
we're super
that's
proud.
You're gonna be an offensive and defensive lineman, a water polo player, and then you're gonna be the lead prince, the lead in the school play. It's only a Rio Hondo Prep, I tell you. It's
You're right, only at
Rio. It's a unique place, and you're gonna get people talk all the time about you don't get the full high school experience if you go to a small school like Rio. I disagree. I say you get even more. You get
yeah. And
all
the
these
relationships with his coaches and his teachers, right, at a small school. I mean, it's so incredible. We're so grateful.
That is really neat. And as far as last season goes, or maybe the last 2 years of him playing football specifically, any fond memories specifically about him on the gridiron? I know the championship game was incredible, but I don't know. He's a big burly guy out there. He's always pushing people around or making tackles. So, any specific memories from him on the football field?
Yeah, I don't remember which game. I just know, he tries his hardest. He works really hard, diligently. I remember one play that he was probably 10, 15 yards down field and still blocking a guy, even though maybe the play went a little sideways or maybe around him or whatnot. But he's giving it his all, and he's continuing to block the guy, even though he's not on the line anymore. He's 10 yards down the field. It's pretty awesome to see that, just his grit and his determination that he's going to keep going and keep going. So that's been fun to see, fun to watch.
I will remember, Colby Johnson was a great lineman for Rio, a great senior last year. And one thing I'll never forget, if I remember correctly, this top of my head, it was always Colby and Ivan, the first two guys out of the locker room. Those many times I filmed them doing the long walk to the field.
Yeah,
probably our two biggest guys. So yeah, you guys should go first, but I don't know.
And captains, they're the captains, right? Two captains.
And to be a captain as a junior was something for Ivan, him and Nate Curtis, I believe. Yep. That said a lot about Ivan and his character as well.
Yeah. Big
time player. But yeah, first guy out. I'm guessing he'll be the first guy out, this year as well. So outside of water polo, football, acting. What are some other things Ivan does? Is he just your typical high school boy, or does he have other hobbies and interests that you guys could speak of?
He loves the ocean. He's always loved ocean animals, but he loves fishing. He any type of fishing, but he especially loves deep sea fishing. So
Nice.
he's actually even fished recently at Peck Pond. So
That's right. He and a couple friends have pulled an 8-pound bass out of Peck Pond. And they got a picture of it.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He can share that
Yeah.
picture with
No,
you.
he loves to fish. We've gone up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, fishing there in lakes or streams, and then also on out in the Channel Islands, and then I think we're doing our first his first 24-hour fishing boat coming up in a month. We're going to go out at Dana Point and go do a 24-hour boat, overnight boat. So
He is just
he loves fishing.
He's he's around the water. Sounds like all the time.
Yeah.
Aquaman indeed, man, just fishing
Yeah.
and they
Outdoor
had some,
nature.
yeah, they had some great times on that summer trip last summer. Some stories I think maybe we shared on here that the parents maybe didn't want to hear, but all in good fun, boys being boys. He didn't grow up through Care Rio, so he didn't get to really know much about the summer trip. What was it like for him? And also, what was it like for you guys sending your son off for all those weeks?
Well, I think when we first heard about it, I think we said no, right? Like I think we started out of the gate just saying, no, you're not going away for 30 days. But obviously our hearts were softened and he was just so thrilled and he raised all the money for that. And he was just so excited and had an incredible time, right?
Yeah.
Like
He's been away before for different camps and things. And so I think that was okay. And I mean, I was more okay, I think, probably with it maybe than you were, perhaps. But just the opportunity to be with friends and see the East Coast. I mean, there's tons to see. It's always great to see different environments and learn in different geographic cities and whatnot. And then even better to be with your friends and coaches. That's awesome. It's a memory that we'll have for the rest of their lives. So
Yeah, summer trips are amazing. It's one of the many unique things at Rio that is just, again, sets Rio apart. If you could talking about the school collectively, what it has meant to you, your family, for maybe the families out there that are interested, kind of like you guys were at one point, but really maybe not sure, or just kind of, I want some more information. What has the Rio experience been like for your son, your daughters, and for you guys? I mean, to kind of give your best pitch, if you would, for what makes Rio special.
Yeah. Well, I think, that the administration, the teachers and coaches, right, they're all Christians, and that's their, teaching and Christian principles and servant leadership and all of that we were very like-minded with that. That was, definitely something what attracted us. And then the sports as well. But I just think everyone as a community has just been an unexpected, I think, blessing for our family. I mean, Ivan, being new to everything, when he stepped on day one, there was just a group of boys, kind of not just in his class, some older boys too, that just really linked arms with him, and they're just the best of friends. And then our families have become really close as well. And I mean, those will be lifelong friendships. So we're really grateful.
The community of families definitely has been really neat to discover and be a part of, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's why we do the podcast, really, to kind of give people an idea of like, hey, this is a special place, and it means something. And always not recruiting, but just telling the stories that need to be told, in my opinion. So I want to ask before we go to Tkach, what's the I think I asked Ivan this when I recorded with him last year, but Tkach, what's the origin of that name?
Yeah, it's Ukrainian.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Very, very nice. Interesting. What you said it was a grandfather, or
my dad came over through New York.
Oh, okay.
When he was 5, and with my grandfather. Yeah, so his great grandfather,
Who was named Ivan,
who he's named after, right?
Oh, I love it. That is really cool. How many times as someone who constantly has his last name butchered, how many different pronunciations have you guys heard over the years of your name?
Too many.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely. hey, anyone can have a Johnson or Williams. Come on, we got the unique last names. Those are real. Those are salts of the earth people there. So, anyway, before we send it off here, I do want to give you guys an opportunity to basically say whatever you want to your son as he goes into his senior season. I'm sure it's hard for you guys to believe that he's going to be a senior.
We can't believe it.
It's flown by. And your daughters went through Rio already, right? Both of them?
Our oldest did.
Oldest.
Youngest is going to be a sophomore.
Kira will be a sophomore and Ivan will be a senior. And then our oldest just finished her first year at Biola University, Rebecca.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of Rio kids going to Biola. That's really neat. But if you could talk about whatever you want to say to your son as he goes into this senior year, 11 months from now or so, he'll be graduating, and hopefully some more good football memories. I don't know who wants to go first, but take it away if you would.
Ivan, we love you so much, and we are so proud of you. But what we talk about at home a lot is we mostly care about your heart, and where your heart is, and following the Lord. And so that's our hope for you, is that you continue walking that narrow path. But along the way, you have just found such great friends and great relationships with coaches and teachers. And we're so proud of you. And we see how hard you work at all that you do. And it's just so fun to watch you blossom. And yeah, I know this sounds so I don't know, like a mom, but we just can't believe you're going to be a senior. So, and I'm sure I'll cry during a few games and all of that, but we love you.
Yeah. And Ivan, I'd say continue to work hard and do your best. Yeah. You've heard it from me before, and you'll continue to hear it. Just do the best you can.
I love hearing from the parents, because you can really see where the kids get, their discipline, their character from. And honestly, Ivan is one of those guys. Honestly, I mean, it may be cliche to say, but he's just a good kid. He's a good kid, and it's not just a throwaway line. He really is. He's got one of the best smiles on the team, and just not to say he doesn't have a nasty side, which we love on the football field too. So, congrats to you guys as well, raising a senior and a great young man there at Rio Hondo Prep. He's a special guy, and the Tkach family is a very special group of Rio parents as well. And Mrs. Tkach, you and Allison Curtis, apparently you guys are heading up the whole team mom, that whole thing.
Yes, we are. We kicked it off with they had a team dinner and breakfast before they went to their San Clemente trip. So, yes. So, and we couldn't do it without our husbands. So it's a team effort.
Definitely.
That's what she said. Team effort. That's what she said too.
I mean, I saw from afar what Valerie Johnson did in all the meals last year, but I didn't know that it's all
went into it.
Yeah, and it's all volunteer, right? Like
Yeah.
I asked Coach Carson what the budget was. Like this is all parents pitching in, which
Families. It's families.
and this is what builds the
supporting.
community, and we're just
Right.
so yeah.
No, it's awesome. Hey, when I heard you and her were in charge, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's fitting. I think those are the right two women for the job, as well as their husbands. Hey, you got to follow up with that championship effort from last year,
Yes. So we have big shoes to fall into, following after Valerie Johnson's path here. As
well, if their moms are like their sons, I think we're in good hands, and the dads as well. The two great football players there, three of them, the Curtises and then Ivan Tkach. So, hey, thanks for doing this. This has been fun. Look forward to getting this out, and to you and all the parents out there. This has been a blast. And are you guys ready for some football? Let's get this thing kicked off. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
We are so ready.
Yeah. Looking forward to Friday nights for sure.
Thank you, Matt, for all you do for Rio.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yep.
You got it, guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye now. Well, of all the things I do here on the podcast, I got to say one of my favorite things is talking to the senior parents. Done a lot of great episodes, have talked to so many great people over the past few years, but man, getting the insight from the senior parents it's fun. You could see kind of them being anxious, nervous, excited, whatever you want to say about them for the upcoming season. And I mean, for those fortunate enough to have kids and see them grow up and become, young men, and to get to this moment, to be seniors, it's a special time, a special moment. And I'm glad that they are all able to experience it at Rio Hondo Prep and to express their gratitude and their experiences here on the Charge to Keep podcast. Because honestly, yeah, man, that's what it's all about. Just kind of, again, the circle behind me, keeping it going, letting others know about what is in store at Rio and what is to come. So excited for the season, as we've heard from our senior parents here and get to know a little bit about the men that will be leading the way as seniors for Rio Hondo Prep. I think I'm a little more excited about the season starting after hearing all that. So we may hear from some coaches here soon in regards to some of our other seniors, but at this point, hearing from all the families that have responded to my request to talk to them, I appreciate each and every one of them. It has been a blast getting to learn again about the young men, about the families, and just Rio Hondo Prep from a little different perspective than we're used to. Former players, coaches, and things like that. To hear from the families. I mean, again, as Coach Carson often says, that's what it's all about. It's the backbone, really, of the program, is the passion of the parents and their giving spirit, and it obviously reflects to from within with the young men and kind of who they are. And we're just excited, man, to get this thing going. And I know it's late July now, as we're ready to turn the page to August, and it's finally back. We're finally ready to kick things off, and we'll have plenty of great content here moving forward with the current team. Again, practice reports and maybe some tours of campus and things like that. Just stay by the computer, the phone, however you listen to the Charge to Keep podcast. There's plenty of content upcoming as we count down to kick off August 24th, Saturday night at Care Park. I hope each and every one of you listening can be there for that game, or at least watch it on the NFHS network if you are out of state or even out of the country. So very excited for Rio football to get going. Hopefully the summer has prepared you, gotten you in the right mindset, as it has for me, and just, again, constantly excited about football, especially after, the incredible season last year with the championship. How could you not be? Again, I hope each and every one of you is ready to make a long-term commitment, if you will, to Rio Hondo Prep football each and every year, cheering on our boys, the guys that wear the uniforms that a lot of us listening here once wore. Again, to me, it's more special than any pro team, college team you can root for. This is you. This was you. This is all of us. And it's an honor to do this podcast and to talk about it all with the parents here, and looking forward to those weekly conversations with Coach Carson very, very soon. The pregame shows, the postgame shows, man, it's right around the corner. So let's finish off summer strong and get into football season. What do you say? Are you with me? Let's do it, man. Thank you to the Tkach family, the Murphy family, and as well as Mrs. Holcomb there, starting us off. It was a fun episode, great interviews. I hopefully you see these parents at games and say, hey, loved hearing you on the podcast, and give them some kind words. They deserve it, and appreciate them taking the time out of their very busy schedules to sit down with me and talk Rio Hondo Prep football. Never gets old. It's always refreshing and fun, and just a blast and a joy for me. So have a great rest of your summer, guys. We'll be back with more episodes next week, continuing on Friday nights here in the summer. The Charge to Keep podcast, counting down the kickoff for the 2024 season, which does begin August 24th, as you are well aware. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in on this special edition of the Charge to Keep podcast. And as always, guys, in closing, this is your friendly reminder to be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because we always have a charge to keep.
A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and thy servant, Lord, prepare. a strict account to give.